Overseas, delegates from around the world have failed to agree on a landmark United Nations arms treaty that would have regulated the $60 billion industry.
The deal needed the consensus of all countries to pass, but the US, Russia and India were against it. Diplomats from 170 countries have spent the past month at the United Nations headquarters in New York discussing what would have been a landmark international arms trade treaty. If passed, the deal would have regulated the more than $60 billion industry. But it had to be adopted by consensus, so any country could have effectively vetoed the deal. And some did, notably one of the nations famous for gun violence, the US, just a week after the Colorado Batman cinema shooting that killed 12 people. Others include Russia, India and
Iran, Syria, North Korea, Egypt, Venezuela, Cuba. They've been constantly raising their concerns.
Those countries argued that there wasn't enough time for them to clarify and resolve issues they had with a draft treaty, even though most other nations at the negotiating table favored controls over global arms trade.
What's really positive about it, and what there is definitely a huge momentum around, is that we have a very large majority of states who have agreed that the arms trade needs to be brought under control and needs to be regulated against rules around international humanitarian law and international human rights law. That's a first for conventional arms, so it's a very big step forward.
There's still hope. More talks on the treaty could eventually be brought to the UN General Assembly, where the deal could be adopted with only a two-thirds majority vote. Countries for the agreement are hoping it'll be passed by the end of the year. If that happens, it'll be good news for these gun makers in the Philippines. Factories like these in Cebu are thriving from exports to the US, Australia and Europe, where demand for high-quality but affordable arms is soaring. Shooters arms manufacturing is already turning huge profits from the industry and hiring workers used to produce guns illegally in Danao, where generations of gunsmiths have lived on their trade.
Number one reason, there are skilled gun maker in Danao, which I would like to have them legalize.
While the plant is hoping for an opportunity to expand the $60 million industry in the Philippines, anti-arms activists are lobbying hard to make it illegal in a country heavily influenced by the US.
There are many good things we can imitate from America, like punctuality, candor. These are good virtues. But why in heaven's name do we have to imitate the bad ones? The gun culture, violence. We do not want this argument of self-defense being used. Because if there are no guns, so there's nothing to be, there's no use to defend yourself. There's no need to have a gun to defend yourself.
Anti-arms lobby groups are pushing for laws that'll jail civilians for carrying guns.